Let's go racing. Yes, a rather foggy, dull Monterey morning, but that's normal here at Laguna Seca, meaning dry lake, if you were wondering. And that is not the official lake there. That's a man-made one, but that's how we got the name Laguna Seca. And we are just above the hills of Monterey, and as you say, we are getting ready for our first group of racing, which is Group 3. And I'm glad to say this is a great way to start. This is sports racing cars from the 50s and early 60s. And I'm joined in the booth by Andrew Fox, who's going to be part of the event this weekend. And I know probably shares the same enthusiasm for an event like this, because we said it in the top, you know, there's something very special which Jeff O'Neill has managed to pull off here, which is what you're seeing here is not cars that look like they were in the day or what. These are the original race cars to the bolt, if you like. You can't be here unless it's an original car.
100%. Yeah. No, it's so exciting to be able to get. I mean, for the spectator, for the folks joining, to get up close to these cars and to see them as they raced in period, and not only that, to know that these things were raced by, you know, the famous drivers at the time, and to be able to see the history, and it's incredible.
Now, tell me what you're doing here. You're racing, I know, but you're racing a Mini. Now, that's good English stuff.
I'm in a Mini, yes. That's why I had to, because of my accent, right? So
exactly. Well, I'll be cheering you on. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, and that's, you know, I know you commentated on the race last year, and it was a riot. I was watching it from the Sip and Savor Pavilion last time, and it was amazing just to, like, the energy from everyone cheering on and oohing and ahhing as the cars, like the Minis are swarming around the Mustangs on the corners, and then the Mustangs kill them in the straights.
Well, that's really, you know, I mean, we're about to watch the 50s and early 60s, and in a weird way, Mini versus Mustang is the essence of what American racing, certainly in the late 50s, became, which was the smaller displacement European cars, the smaller roads, obviously, but also the way they built them and the power-to-weight ratio versus the muscle cars, the Mustangs of America. And everybody said, well, those Europeans, they can't hold a candle, surely, to our big V8s. But actually, you will see, as you rightly point out, that the Minis can hold their own.
It's amazing. It's surprising how close the lap times, although I say that in practice yesterday, I think there's some more horses in some of those Mustangs this year round. I don't know what they're doing, but the lap times are surprisingly close. It's just the way those two cars achieve the lap time is different around the circuit, right? There's different points where they're fast and slow, and so that's the fun.
Now, we're hoping that the fog, you know Monterey, the fog will clear. We should have a sunny day. It was absolutely glorious yesterday, but this is the way it starts here at Monterey. I'm sure you're familiar with Laguna Seca. You've been here a few times.
I have, yes. This is the marine layer will burn off. Have faith.
So let's just talk a little bit about what we got here. 1957 to 1961. This is a period post-war where there was a little bit more money. And the scene was, therefore, there was more production cars being made, and that also meant that there was more people racing production cars and sports cars, and also places, 1957, places like Laguna Seca were moving away from racing around the streets. They used to race around Pebble Beach streets, but then places like Watkins Glen, Riverside, and Laguna Seca were built. Sebring, if you think about it, was an airfield, and still is, effectively. But purpose-built tracks were built like Laguna Seca, and that's what really grew this sport.
Yeah, I mean, I guess back in this era in the UK, obviously there was in the post-war era, a lot of the old airfields from the war were converted or were used as racetracks. I mean, that's where Goodwood and in fact most of the big racetracks in the UK were adopted from the disused, you know, airfields. And I think the popularity there, I assume as it came over, because we also saw a lot of the British sports cars coming over. I know the Lister sold a few of his cars out here in the States, and, you know, I guess that drove the competitiveness as well, because then you see all the American engine race cars on British chassis, some of them in the early days, and yeah, I guess it's just the momentum's grown from there, right?
Now, Andrew, you're not going to be surprised. We're doing a sort of rolling start here because of the conditions. It's very cold out there, and I would have thought I'd be, if I were you, if I were a driver out there, a little nervous about my pride and joy, because that's a birdcage out there. I see it. There's some rather nice cars out there. A T61 birdcage, Jeffrey O'Neill, who of course is the organizer of the event. But these are precious beasts, and with these cooler temperatures, they really want to give them a chance to get the tyres warm.
100%. There's also, I mean, don't underestimate, like, this fog, the morning fog is wet. So
yes, it is.
So there's, you know, it looks like the track is drying out and dried out, but there's, under the corkscrew, that can still stay damp a little longer, and so there's going to be a few spots for these. I mean, that's part of the benefit maybe of the narrow wheel, is that it's going to move around more, so you don't have those sort of binary snaps like you get in F1, where there's so much grip, and then if it goes, it's like massively different.
I forget sometimes, I know you're a competitor, but do you get a thrill knowing that McLaren are here and that some of the great Formula One cars, Alistair McRae and the rally cars are here, Mario Andretti's here?
100%. I mean, I'm a competitor. I'm not. I'm definitely at the amateur end of the scale. So yeah, this is all. I'm a kid in the candy store at this place for sure.
Well, if you've not ever seen Laguna Seca, this is the famous corkscrew, and look at them almost going 2 by 2 down there. It's some 55 feet from top to bottom, and that's just this section we're watching. It goes a lot further than that. I think in total about five stories from top to bottom, all the way down to the Rainy Curve, and then the last corner coming up now, which is turn 11 here at Laguna Seca. And as you can see, the pace car is coming off, and that will give us our first race. And while these are precious historic cars, we don't put our pieces of art in a museum. We bring them out and we do just this, which is race them. And this is the Group 3 qualifying race for cars from 1957 to 1961. And away we go right from the get-go. It's the Cooper Monaco leading the way. That car driven by Spencer Treneray, who of course is a well-known peddler here in historic racing. Takes the lead nicely into the Andretti curve. I got my trivia out this morning. Did you know that this is the first time I think we've ever had 2 living legends in Wayne Rainey with a corner named after him and Mario Andretti here?
That's true.
We only need Bobby Rahal and we've got the lot.
I hadn't thought about that. That's
yeah,
so true,
there you go. What's the tough part about this course as we see them starting to stretch their legs a little bit? Where do you find you've got to be careful?
So, I mean, I think for me, it depends on the car a little bit as well.
Coming in hot there. Who said who were putting on an exhibition? Nobody. That's racing. Go ahead.
But I would say, so turn 9 as you come out the corkscrew is a corner that takes a bit of time to get to used to, and then for me the biggest one is probably the hairpin, the Andretti turn 2 Andretti hairpin, where you're carrying all that speed, you're braking downhill, and you're just trying to pick your braking point and leave it as long as possible, but not leave it too late that you're out wide. Oh, we've got a spinner in the corkscrew.
Oh, it is. It's the number 36. That Mark 1 Lola, he saved it. He was the one that skidded a moment ago at turn 5. Wow, that was a beautiful pirouette. Scary, though. So that was...
and he's off again.
He's off again. I think that's cool tyres, I think, because he's just pushing.
I don't know whether he caught
the
curb on that second one, but he went off the other way, just going through turn 9 there.
Well, he's from Monterey, is Patrick Orozco, but that was the number 36, 1959, a Lola Mark 1 that was going slightly awry, as we see our leader in the Sadler Mark 4, Greg Meyer from Carmel, just down the road, leading the way in the number 84 here in Group 3, our first group. Excuse me, he's in second place.
Yeah, looks like no one collected the spinner.
Thankfully.
Which is good. Yeah.
Yeah, this is another beautiful car in 84, the Mark IV Sadler. One of 8 original Sadler sports races built by Bill Sadler in 1959. And really a beautiful, like I said, absolutely immaculate piece of kit. Is there anyone you want to pick out from the list of goodness out there?
Well, I mean, I got a soft spot for the Maserati Special. That's David Swig's car. I actually, driving down on Thursday afternoon, or Wednesday evening, I passed it. I had my car in the back and I passed him on the way down. So it's kind of fun seeing him out there. It's funny because it looks so different to the rest of the cars here. Like the rest of the cars I wouldn't say they're aero, but they're low. Basically the bodywork is, you know, draped around, almost melted over the chassis and the wheels, whereas, yeah, that it looks very retro. It's a 57 Maserati Special.
Yeah, and you say that you passed it on the road, and that sounds kind of odd because you'd think these things would be flown in. But the truth is, a lot of competitors in the historic scene do what they did in the day, because back in the day, there was no trailers, there was no way of ensuring them to get carefully taken to where they needed to go. Most competitors drove these cars on the road. They were production-based, and a lot of them actually drove their race cars to the racetrack. Either put on a new set of race wheels or kept the ones they were going. I know that several competitors still keep that tradition going to this day. So it's a mighty effort to be able to do that. But that's what they did back in the day. As we take a look at the 356, that's the Porsche Devin Speedster. And you mentioned this at the start. You've got a combination of American and European. You've got things like the Cooper, and then you've got things like the Devin or the Huffaker from California, the Genie. These are cars that were made here to compete and either use parts or get the design factors from European cars that were just a little bit more nimble. And the likes of Maserati, Cooper, Lotus, I mean, a Lister Corvette, that sounds like a combo, if ever I heard one. Rob Watson from Scottsdale, Arizona driving that. And Spencer Trenery leading the way at the moment.
So there's David Swig. You can see how different that car looks, right?
Yeah, no kidding. Very different. That's the 35. And about fourth place, that's the
he's
Maserati
in fifth.
Special.
I think he's in fifth spot at the moment.
Yeah, I hope it does clear up for the fans coming here already. The grandstand starting to fill up, and also the paddock. We've got a great view sitting out here in the paddock of everything. I'm glad we're out here because I know it's a bit of a strange one, but I think it's appropriate. There's our leader again.
Well, that's actually Jeff in his
Oh,
bird
that's O'Neill,
cage.
yes,
Yeah,
the birdcage, yeah. Now, what do you know about the birdcage? I know the basics, if you will, which is the trestle framework. That's why it gets that name, the birdcage, and effectively Maserati designed actually a very strong chassis, stronger than perhaps the standard. And they kind of nicknamed it the birdcage because it was so many different little bits of trestle effectively network.
I would encourage everyone to go check it out when it's back under the tent. It's so what's special about it is how light it is, right?
Yes.
Because all the members are so tiny, so fine, and it's almost like a mesh framework that looks, that's where it is, you say it, where it gets to stick there.
I know that there was a lot of thought that some of the great drivers like Sterling Moss would give a go at it, Dan Gurney. It wasn't that successful. It won the Nürburgring 1,000 kilometers in its day, but it never won Le Mans, and it just had a lot of reliability issues. But as a car, it really is both unique and very, very special. Goodness knows how much it's worth. But a really special car to look out for if you get a chance.
So, I was just saying that was Patrick Orozco in the 36 car. I think he was the one that had a few traction challenges at the start, but he's down 4 spots. But he looks like he's fighting his way back up again. He just passed Jeff. So.
We're just looking at William Taylor here in the Cooper Monaco from 1962. In the number 57, powering his way up the hill. Beautiful sound, that.
Actually wondering if Jeff is in his car. It doesn't look like his normal race suit.
We may have chosen this a little early. Who knows? He's a busy man.
There's all sorts of tag teaming going on in some of these cars at this point.
Got a quick glimpse there of the number 9 just going through shot.
Jeff took one of the minis out in practice last night. He was going to go for a couple of laps. He loved it so much he stayed out the whole session, and I think he turned in like a 1:51, which is crazy fast. So he knows what he's doing.
So tell me about your mini. What have you got?
Mine's a 1966. It's actually an American delivered car. It was bought and sold new in Detroit in '67. It's Austin Cooper S. I bought it without knowing how much history it had, and ironically, it was bought and raced drag racing, and it won its class, and he drove it stock. He just took the air filter off it, the original owner, a guy called Dick Reynolds, and was winning everything. And I acquired the car about a year ago. Fortunately, they found the old logbook, sent it to me, so I put the old livery on it, and I was up here racing in April. And an old guy comes over and goes, "Whose is this car?" And I'm like, "It's mine." He goes, "I know this car. I raced against it in 1975. No. And he managed to track down Dick Reynolds' cell number. And I called him a couple of weeks ago and chatted to him, and we're now conversing on email. He sent me all of these old pictures about the car. So that's the super fun side of this historic racing, is understanding the history and the provenance.
Well, these are the stories we hope to bring you throughout the weekend. Thank you, Andrew. This is Andrew Cox you're listening to, who will be out later. We're looking at the number 14. We just saw the Devin 1958 Nicholas Colonna at the wheel in the number 9. That was one of 15, so gives you an idea of just how many there are in the world. That's how elite, if you will, these cars are. And he's currently in the top 10 in that all-red number 9. And then we just saw the 14 Lister Corvette from 1959, Rob Walton pedaling that, or wheeling that, whichever you prefer. And here's a look at the corkscrew looking up. There's the 99, the Lotus 17. And if anybody was all about lightweight, it was Colin Chapman. He was a maestro, sometimes pushing in the limits of how light he could get his chassis, but that was one of the things that he was brilliant at doing with Lotus, was to get very lightweight cars. And the Lotus 11, the Lotus 23B, and so on. You'll see quite a lot of iterations. And I'm amazed to see how many Lotuses are actually here in the States.
Yeah, that's the amazing stuff of walking around and seeing the evolution of the cars. It's always finding that balance between performance, lightweight, and reliability, right? And you start to shave one or push the lever on one too much, and you'll start to compromise another area. It's just finding that perfect balance.
How about this? The 1958 Ferrari 250 Testarossa, Anthony Wang, excuse me, from Huntington, New York, at the wheel. That looks like a handful. Also looks fun though.
yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah.
We've got 2 Ferrari 250 Testarossas here. Both of them 1958, one yellow, one red. And Anthony Wang driving one, Chase Johnson driving the other. And we're watching Group 3. This is our first group action from the 2 days here at Velocity Invitational. There's lots to tell you about as the day goes on, and can't wait to bring you some of these very, very special cars. And we've really got some treats coming up. We've got some of the best world rally cars you'll ever see. We've also got McLaren Formula One about to celebrate their 60th anniversary next year, and they're here in absolute full song with Zach Brown included, the CEO of McLaren, who will be driving. He has a collection of cars himself and loves to get out and about and drive those cars, especially the modern ones, because this is a rare event for him to actually take one of his own race cars out alongside the likes of a Mika Hakkinen.
Spencer Trenery's just put in a 148 in his Cooper Monaco.
That's pretty handy.
Yeah, leading the way for sure.
Yeah, we don't, as commentators, we don't overemphasize the times, but I know you drivers like to keep an eye on it, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? I mean, you want to take on the track. If you're a racing driver at heart, doesn't matter what you're driving, you want to beat the clock, you want to beat the track, and it doesn't matter what you're in either, because you can gauge where you are. As we look at the Sadler-Meyer special coming up the hill here towards us in 1959. And just behind that, that's the 164. That's the Lotus 11 Le Mans, another Lotus iteration. Mark Sange driving that one. It almost looks futuristic, even though it's from the 50s.
Futuristic, yeah, in the 50s or 60s, right.
Yeah, but I mean, can you imagine what it must have looked like when they first brought that out? And everybody was like, oh, we're going to go racing with this. I mean, really quite futuristic at the time.
Could have been something in one of those original Flash Gordon movies.
Yeah. So Spencer Treneray leading the way now in our qualifying race for Group 3. And why we call it a qualifying race is they're going to race again. And so Greg Meyer, John Hill, all in the top 3. And the number 36, Patrick Orozco, doing a really good job because, as you say, he spun and has managed to hang on to, what, 4th place ahead of Gregory Campbell at the moment. So keep an eye out for the 36, cheer him on. And by the way, if you are here today, please get around, get to talk to these guys, come and have a look at that Ferrari you just saw flash by there. These are absolutely beautiful pieces of art and worth more than you and I can afford, perhaps, but well worth a chat with the driver, ask him why he likes to drive this car or what's difficult about it, or why a Ferrari, no less, because that's always an interesting question. A lot of people do have particular marks that they fell in love with as a boy, or had a model of, or have a history with, and that's, you know, part of this. Certainly in Jeffrey O'Neill's case, he wasn't a car guy as such, but learned about cars as a kid, saw the model cars and said, if I got to be able, I would buy that car, and he did. He bought a Formula 1 car, and everybody said he was out of his mind, but from there on in, he's built his collection. All right, coming over the line now in our first group, which is Group 3, number 65. That's, now this is an interesting car, the Echidna, 1959, Michael Silverman. I was looking at this morning, actually. Really interesting car, this. Not well known, certainly not in the same ranks as some of the Lotuses or the Ferraris that we're more familiar with. But the Echidna, Michael Silverman at the wheel, is one of 3 modified Devon-bodied sports races built and raced in the period starting in 1959 with a 56 Chevy sedan chassis, chopped and narrowed. So that's kind of what I was talking about at the start, which is the Americans went, okay, how can we get in this game and kind of do our own thing? And that car is a good example. Car park starting to fill up. I'm sorry about the weather, folks, but it will get better. And wherever you're tuning in around the internet, around the world, we promise you a better day once the sun comes out. We'll see these cars in their full glory. Sadler Meyer Special from 1959. Like we said, these cars, late 50s, early 60s, at a time where sports car racing was just really getting going, especially here in the States. And Trans Am would be coming along very soon with the smaller displacement. We'll see some of those, as well as the muscle cars. Andrew, alongside me, will be taking those muscle cars on later in his Mini. Looking forward to that. That's always fun. Are you racing at night again, or is it during the day?
So we're a month earlier than last year, so the clocks haven't changed. So I think with the current, I think the fog may come back in again by the time the race is on. But yeah, so last night when we were practicing, we had lights on for fog, but not for the it certainly wasn't the same level as darkness as last year.
Well, last year we were taking bets because as the sun went down, we were like, well, this is it. The Minis have got a better chance now because a lot of the Mustangs had taken the lights out for weight, whereas the Minis have gone, no, we'll keep the lights. So beautiful sights and sounds of Velocity Invitational. This is the 3rd edition of the event. Welcome, one and all. We hope you have a great weekend here. Please get around the venue. Don't sit in the stands all day long. Come around the paddock. Come and enjoy the food, wine, and the cars. That's what it's all about. Bring the kids, enjoy it. Come and see some Formula 1 cars up close and some of the history of motor racing. And the beauty of it is, many young people today aren't as car crazy as perhaps you and I were growing up. But I think an event like this can really get that nostalgia going and give people an understanding of the development. You know, if you are at all interested in the progression, the history of how the automobile came to be, and let's face it, whether you like them or love them, we all use them day in, day out. And the combustion engine alone, there's some good examples just behind me here in our commentary booth of illustrations of how they work and showing them in motion close up as we take a look at the number 60.
It's
the
Spencer.
Cooper Monaco of Spencer leading the way.
Heading up for his last time through the corkscrew. In the final lap here.
Yep.
And yeah, Patrick definitely found his feet again after the initial spin and has been on a serious run up the league, up the table. He's up into second.
So Spencer on his way to victory. This is only the qualifying race, though. He's got 2 corners to go. Well, 1 now. And he has stolen a march, no question about it, on the rest of the field. But not really a surprise, as he brings that number 60 home to take the checkered flag. The 1961 Cooper Monaco wins here. The man from Berkeley, California, takes the checkered flag, as he's done many a time before, I may add. But looking forward to seeing him as the weekend goes on. Andrew, also looking forward. When are you out?
5 o'clock today,
good.
yes. So end of the day. Yeah.
Well, come back anytime. Come join us.
Sure.
Feel free. We're here all weekend, and we've placed ourselves right in the middle of everything.
It's
so
a great spot here, actually, yeah.
It is a good spot. And we've got, if it rains, we've got a little bit of coverage, but if the sun comes out...
There won't be rain in
No,
California.
there won't be rain. No, it never rains in Southern California, is what they say, but we're not quite. Are we in Southern? I don't know. It all makes sense. So what are you going to, when you've got a bit of time off, what are you going to have a sniff at? What are you going to have a look at?
Well, the rally cars for sure.
Yes.
The Gonzalez collection of F1 cars is just insane over there. I'll be checking that out again.
Yeah, I had a look at it yesterday, and it's very impressive.
Yeah.
Can't have to say, and really looking forward to seeing that.
I mean, the modern cars are certainly impressive. I don't know if you've seen the Ferraris at the end.
Yes,
the collection
I have,
of that 288 GTO is something special. They're all just, those things are amazing. But yeah, no, I'll just be, assuming the car's ready, my car's ready, I'll be snooping around like checking out all the different cars under the tents. And
briefly, I never asked you, so what brought you here?
To the US?
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to move. I did a couple of years in Singapore, and then I've been out here on the West Coast for 16 years now with work originally.
Sounds like a pilot.
No, I was in technology.
Okay, because I lived in Hong Kong for many years, so I know the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Fun times.
Well, listen, welcome. Thanks for coming in. You're always welcome to join us. Really a pleasure to have you, and looking forward now. What number, so we can cheer you on?
Oh, number 58.
Number 58. We'll cheer him on.
The red and gold.
Red and gold Mini.
Yeah.